Welcome to the Inner Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm Paul Ryan, and in today's episode, we explore the area of coming to know ourselves. As Socrates said, to know thyself is the beginning of wisdom. And I think if you don't truly know yourself, if you're not living a life that fully reflects who you are, then whose life is it you're living? I know that fundamental to my own journey over the past 40 years is simply coming to truly know who I am and creating a life that is an expression of this, that is an honest reflection of who I am. My first experience of meditation was an amazing experience, a sense of wholeness, a sense of warmth spreading right throughout my body. I had never felt anything like it before, and I was hooked from that moment, and I embarked upon a life and exploration of inner growth, of discovering who I am, what's inside of me, and what does it mean to live the very best life I can live. That experience started me on a 40-year journey, and it's a journey I'm still on today, and I'm still as passionate, excited about it as I ever was. And over those 40 years, I've traveled to India on many occasions to study meditation and to absorb some of their wisdom. And I've been to the US to study with business and investment mentors, teachers who I've found to be the best in the world at what they do. Because my passion has been to explore the inner world, who am I, and the outer world, how can I be the best that I can be? How can I be successful? And how can I enjoy both inner peace and outer success? And once I began the journey to learning, I found myself so fascinated and engrossed that it has been my passion pretty much ever since. And as the years have passed since that morning in class, I realized that I have learned so much, but there is so much more still to learn. But now, 40 years later, as I look back, I feel so privileged to have been on this journey, because I can see that it has been of enormous benefit to my life and to the quality of my life over those years. I started the Inner Entrepreneur Pod to share what I've learned with anyone who might benefit or of interest to fellow seekers, to fellow students of life, and to encourage you to pursue the path of learning. When I look back at all I've learned over those years, it's clear to me that the greatest moment of impact was when I really began to know and accept myself. Not what others thought I should be, not how others felt and expected me to be, but the moment when I had the courage to admit to myself that I was not living a life fully aligned with who I was. I was not being true to myself, and that was miserable. Everything I had learned up until that moment had been leading me to this point when I could finally admit that this was not how I wanted to live. Getting to that point for me was not easy. In fact, it took me years of burnout in my business and then one weekend walking across hot coals before I really woke up. Now, a fire walk is a powerful experience. And after the fire walk, I went through a meditation, a visualization that lasted for hours. And I looked into my future and I saw two possible futures. One, where I continued on the path I was on, living a life that was incongruent with who I was. And in my distant future, I saw a grey, old, miserable man. A life wasted. And in my next vision, I saw the life I could live if I had the courage to live true to who I was and live a life in alignment with my being, with who I am. And if I lived honestly true to my nature, I saw in my future an old man who had lived an amazing life, who was still living an amazing life full of energy, passion, and enthusiasm. And I knew in that moment that this was the life I had to live, that my choice was made. No matter how hard it was going to be to get there, my choice was made. This was the life I was going to live. I was going to be true to me. Now, everything I had learned up until that point was valuable, some of it even life-changing. But if I was not willing to live completely authentically, to fully embrace who I was, then it would not be a life fully lived. And I know this sounds dramatic, but it is. It's said that our life can change in an instant, in a moment of profound awakening or inspiration. And that's true. I've experienced that. But the reality is that after you have that moment of inspiration, the real world is still waiting for you. You have to return to your real life. And that is where the work begins. Now, that's not a roadblock. That's not a problem. It is a challenge, but it's in the embracing of that challenge that you truly grow, that you truly live. Going back into my life after my awakening and choosing to live true to myself from that moment forward was challenging, very challenging, because people around me in my family and in my business, well, in their eyes, I had become someone else, someone they didn't recognize. And people don't want you to change, particularly if you changing challenges their comfort zones and if they derive some benefit from you remaining who you are, then they won't want you to change and they may not support that. So that can make the journey hard, and it was certainly hard for me. But that's the road and you need to walk it. And the two learnings from me out of this experience was that you can go and create anything you want. You can live an enormously successful life. But if you're not living authentically, if you're not living true to yourself, then it will be in vain because you will not be happy, you will not be fulfilled. And if you're living a life that is not true to who you are, then your efforts and your life will have been wasted. That was my first lesson. And the second lesson was that if becoming you means a big change, if you can see that the old you and the new you are very different people, very different versions, then that's going to be a big challenge and it's going to be hard. But the lesson from personal experiences, it is worth it. Walk that road. The rewards are tenfold. The rewards will so much outstrip the challenge, but it may take you time. Now, if this is resonating with you, it may also be a little bit scary. That's fine. I was scared. Most people who go through this sort of change find it scary. But scary is good, because scary means that you know there's a change to be made, and you know that change is breaking the shell you're in, is taking you outside of your comfort zone. And you need to embrace scared, not deny it. You need to embrace it, but you need to have the courage to walk with it, because this is the path you have been searching for all of your life. But change can be hard. So the question you may be thinking is, well, where do you start? Because you may be thinking, I know there's more. I know there's a possibility for me to live a happier, fuller version of myself. But I have no idea how I get there. How do I connect to that part of my being? And how do I live that way? Well, the answer to self-knowledge turns out to be pretty simple, which is not to be confused with being easy or being quick. And the simple starting place is you have to start listening to yourself. It turns out that being authentic is the most natural thing in the world. It is a natural expression of you, but it doesn't feel natural. And here's why. From the moment you were born, you were learning from others. You were in a family, a community, a society, possibly a religion, and the whole world around you from the moment you were born was telling you how you should live. And then you were raised through school and a career. All around you, everywhere, is telling you how you should live, how you should be. And you see, we do have to learn from those around us, and we do have to live in a community. But you do not have to sacrifice yourself to it. You do not have to sacrifice your true nature. And the goal now is to turn inwards and allow your true self to emerge. So you're going to have to start the habit of personal reflection. And one of the best ways to do this is journaling. So get into the habit of writing down your thoughts, of taking time every day if possible, particularly if this is new to you, and particularly if you find it challenging, then take time every day with a journal. Sit quietly with a pen and paper and start exploring yourself. Start listening to yourself. But you're new to this, and this will take time. You have probably spent your entire life listening to others and putting your own thoughts, your feelings, your wants at the back of the queue. Well, I'm telling you something, it's time to change that. It's time to get to know yourself. This will be a journey of exploration, and once you bring your attention to it, and once you open the door, you will begin to emerge. Now, if this is new to you, be patient, be gentle with yourself. It will take time. I've been on this journey for 40 years. It's a journey, it is not a destination, but it's a wonderful journey and it is a great way to live. In fact, I would suggest it is the only way to truly live. But I want to give you some help. So if you're new to this, I want to give you 8 questions that you might consider starting with. So really what I want you doing is sitting down with a journal and just discovering yourself, just exploring yourself. So these questions are not meant to replace that. They're just a guidance, just to help you get the ball rolling. So question 1 is a very simple question. Ask yourself, how do I feel today? Just write that question at the top of a blank sheet of paper. How do I feel today? And give yourself some time just to answer that and to get to know yourself and to see what's going on with me today. Second great question is, what are my core values? Now, when I say core values, what I mean is, what really matters to you? I'm not talking about world peace here. I'm talking about you standing here now. What really matters in your life now? They are your core values. So ask yourself, what really matters to me? And am I living my life in a way that reflects and honors those values? Number 3, I love this one. What does a life well lived look like for me? And are my current goals in alignment with that life that I want to live? Question 4, this is a really deep one. What are some moments in your life when you felt most alive, fulfilled, or at peace? And what do those experiences teach you about what really matters to you? Question 5. If you could design your ideal life without any limitations, what would it look like? And then, what steps can you take to move closer to that vision of your ideal life? I mean, there's so much exploration in that. You could spend days, weeks, months exploring that question alone. Question 6. In what areas of my life do I tend to resist change? And what might the underlying reasons be for this resistance? Question 7. What activities or what people drain me and might need to be removed from my life? And question 8, the final one. How can I take better care of myself? These are some great questions, but journaling itself is a wonderful process. But the process of getting to know yourself really comes down to looking inward and just always paying attention. What do I think? How do I feel? And slowly the real you begins to emerge and you begin to discover who you really are. But getting to know yourself is a lifelong journey. It's a way of life. And you start by listening and allowing your inner voice to speak and to be heard. This is one of the most important things you can do for your personal growth. It deserves a lot of time, so give it that time. You will not regret it. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do like, subscribe, share, and comment. It really helps the show to grow, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. Until next time, take care.